in JPPS, I guess I had about 5 years of Yiddish education, and Bialik went from the 6th grade to the 11th grade, so that was another 5 years. So it was a total of 10 years of Yiddish education, and that culminated for me in being the Yiddish Valedictorian at Bialik High School. There's not many. There's only one every year, and actually they don't teach Yiddish as a mandatory language anymore. So we're a limited edition. But I remember that was a very, very formative moment for me, and it was actually very significant. I remember in school, the real prestige thing was to be the English valedictorian. My sister was the English valedictorian. But for me, in a sense, it was more meaningful, more true to myself to end up being the Yiddish valedictorian, because it was an opportunity to express myself in that language. And really, I remember it was at the Shar Shemayim, which is a very large synagogue. There had to be at least 500 people in attendance, but maybe, no, I'd say somewhere between 500 to 1,000 people. And the thing about a graduation ceremony is that you're bound to have lots of bubbies and zadies. So there was an older generation there as well. And I remember giving the speech that the general feeling was a lot of people didn't really know what I was saying, but they thought it was hilarious. And I mean, it was meant to be funny. It was meant to be both significant and funny. I start off by saying, "Ich bin a Polisher." I have a confession. I'm a Polisher, and sort of explaining a little bit. I think there were some historical elements. It's actually online. Someone put it online a while back. But it was important for me to sort of identify with being able to use Yiddish and orate in Yiddish, and B, also recognizing that there were people that appreciated it, and the most interesting thing was that there were people that appreciated it that did not speak Yiddish at all or barely spoke it. And that's also when I recognized there was something that this language as a form of expression is tapping into. The most brute way of saying it is, well, Yiddish is a funny language, ha ha ha. But it's more than that. It's more the nuances and the way that the language works in a few different ways make it a very special language. And this actually carried through to doing the YidLife Crisis web series, where in many cases people do not know Yiddish, and yes, there are subtitles, but people can't always follow them, or more importantly, when people are on set, there's no subtitles for them, and yet they're naturally and viscerally reacting to the way that we're talking in Yiddish. So there's something really interesting there that I think I spotted at that point, and that was sort of a seed that I planted, walked away from, and came back to about 16 years later to do the YidLife project.